These 15 legendary Black R&B icons are still alive and performing in 2026.
Album. I do all kind of.
In 2026, 15 of the greatest Black R&B legends who built the soundtrack of our lives are still alive, singing, performing, and creating at ages up to 86. These living icons shaped Motown, Stax, and soul itself, yet many are quietly aging in the shadows. Before it's too late, we must honor them now. Which legend deserves the spotlight first? Comment below, like, and subscribe to celebrate these legends while they're still here. Mavis Staples. At 86 years old, Mavis Staples remains one of the most powerful living voices in music, a true bridge between history, faith, and soul. Born on July 10, 1939, she rose to prominence as the lead singer of the Staple Singers, a family group that didn't just perform music, but carried a message. With timeless hits like I'll Take You There and Respect Yourself, her voice became a soundtrack for both personal healing and collective awakening. What sets Mavis apart is not just longevity, but purpose. During the height of the civil rights movement, she and her family stood alongside leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., using music as a tool for change. Their songs weren't just entertainment, they were declarations of dignity, unity, and resistance. Over the decades, her contributions have been recognized with multiple Grammy Awards and prestigious honors, such as the Kennedy Center Honor, cementing her place as a cultural and historical icon. Her legacy lies in how seamlessly she fused gospel roots with R&B and soul, creating a sound that feels both spiritual and socially conscious. That influence continues to echo through generations of artists who see her not just as a legend, but as a guiding force. Even in 2026, Mavis Staples shows no signs of slowing down. She continues to perform record new music and connect with younger audiences who are drawn to her authenticity and message. Her voice, still rich, still commanding, carries decades of truth and resilience. More than a singer, Mavis Staples is a symbol. Her life's work reminds us that music can uplift, challenge, and transform. After more than 70 years, she doesn't just represent the past, she continues to shape the present, proving that soul, when rooted in truth, never fades. William Bell.
2.5 million copies of it.
At 86, William Bell stands as a living architect of Southern soul, one of the key figures who helped define the Stax Records sound that reshaped American music. Born on July 16, 1939 in Memphis, Bell emerged in the early 1960s with You Don't Miss Your Water, a deeply emotional debut that became one of Stax's first national hits and set the tone for a new kind of storytelling in R&B, raw, honest, and rooted in real life. His influence expanded even further through songwriting. As co-writer of Born Under a Bad Sign, Bell helped create a blues standard later recorded by artists across genres, proving his work could transcend labels and generations. Over decades, he balanced roles as both performer and composer, shaping the emotional vocabulary of Southern soul alongside legends of the Stax era. But Bell's legacy isn't only about past achievements, it's about preservation and independence. After the decline of Stax Records, he founded Wilby Records, one of the early Black-owned soul labels, giving artists creative control and helping protect the authenticity of the genre. This move quietly influenced future generations of independent musicians and entrepreneurs. Even in his later years, Bell continues to evolve. His 2016 album, This Is Where I Live, earned a Grammy Award for Best Americana Album. A rare achievement that proved his voice, both literally and artistically, remains as compelling as ever. Rather than relying on nostalgia, he continues writing, recording, and mentoring, showing that creativity doesn't fade with time. William Bell's journey is more than longevity. It's proof that true artistry deepens with age. His story reminds us that while trends come and go, authenticity, resilience, and soul endure, and sometimes they grow even stronger with time. Smokey Robinson.
I have out a current CD. It's called Smokey and Friends.
At 86, Smokey Robinson remains one of the most influential voices in the history of R&B, a true embodiment of elegance, emotion, and endurance. Born on February 19, 1940, he earned the title Poet Laureate of Soul. For a reason, his lyrics didn't just tell stories, they defined how generations understand love, heartbreak, and longing. As the driving force behind the miracles, Robinson helped shape the early success of Motown, delivering timeless hits like The Tears of a Clown, and writing classics such as My Girl, famously recorded by The Temptations. Over his career, he has written or co-written more than 4,000 songs, an extraordinary catalog that continues to influence artists across genres. Beyond performing, he served as vice president of Motown Records, mentoring future legends and helping turn a Detroit label into a global powerhouse. His legacy lies in the romantic, polished style he brought to R&B, soft yet powerful, intimate yet universal. Few artists have shaped the emotional tone of a genre so completely. His smooth tenor voice and poetic phrasing became the blueprint for countless singers who followed. Remarkably, in 2026, Smokey Robinson is still actively touring, bringing his legacy of love shows to audiences around the world. Despite decades in the spotlight, his voice remains strikingly clear, his stage presence vibrant, and his connection with fans as strong as ever. He continues recording new material, proving that creativity doesn't retire. Smokey Robinson's story is not just about longevity, it's about consistency at the highest level. After more than 6 decades, he still delivers the same warmth and soul that first captivated listeners, reminding us that true artistry doesn't fade. It refines, deepens, and endures. Candy Staton.
Gospel Roots album. I do all kind of.
At 86, Candy
R&B,
Staton stands
country.
as a living testament to resilience, faith, and transformation. Born on March 13, 1940, she earned the title First Lady of Southern Soul through a voice that carries both grit and grace, raw enough to express pain, yet powerful enough to inspire healing. Her early recordings in the late 1960s captured the essence of Southern soul, but it was her 1976 anthem, Young Hearts Run Free, that catapulted her onto the global stage, becoming a timeless declaration of independence and self-worth. Across more than 6 decades, Staton has recorded dozens of hits spanning soul, disco, and gospel, proving a rare ability to evolve without losing authenticity. But what makes her journey extraordinary is the story behind the music. She has openly spoken about surviving abusive relationships, financial struggles, and personal hardships, experiences that shaped the emotional depth of her songs. Rather than hiding those scars, she turned them into testimony, using music as a path toward healing for herself and for listeners who saw their own struggles reflected in her voice. Her legacy lies in that honesty. Candy Staton didn't just perform soul music, she lived it. Every lyric carries truth. Every note carries survival. This emotional transparency has made her a beacon for generations seeking strength through vulnerability. Even in 2026, she continues to create and inspire. Her album, Back to My Roots, earned a Grammy nomination in the Best Roots Gospel category, reaffirming her deep connection to faith and her ability to remain artistically relevant. She still records, shares her story, and connects with audiences worldwide. Candy Staton's life is more than a career, it's a journey of survival and rebirth. Her story reminds us that true strength isn't just about enduring hardship, but transforming it into something that can heal others. Dionne Warwick.
To disco. That was a period of time.
At 85, Dionne Warwick remains the definition of elegance in motion, a voice and presence that helped shape pop soul into something refined, timeless, and globally beloved. Born on December 12, 1940, she rose to fame in the early 1960s through her iconic partnership with composer Burt Bacharach, crafting a sophisticated sound that stood apart from the era's trends. Songs like Walk On By and I Say a Little Prayer didn't just become hits, they became standards performed and studied across generations. With over 100 million records sold worldwide and 6 Grammy Awards, Warwick's achievements place her among the most successful vocalists in music history. Yet her legacy extends far beyond charts. In the 1980s, she used her platform to raise awareness for the AIDS crisis, leading the charity single That's What Friends Are For. which raised millions for research and support at a time when stigma and fear dominated public conversation. It was a defining moment that showed how music could mobilize compassion and change. What makes Dionne Warwick extraordinary is her ability to remain relevant without losing her identity. In 2026, she continues to connect with audiences through her Over and Out farewell tour, while also joining forces with fellow legends like Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight for special performances that celebrate the golden era of R&B. Her voice, still warm and controlled, carries the same emotional clarity that defined her earliest recordings. Dionne Warwick's story is one of grace under pressure reinvention, without compromise and artistry that refuses to fade. Decades into her career, she continues to prove that true class, like true music, never goes out of style, it only becomes more essential with time. Carla Thomas. At 83, Carla Thomas stands as one of the defining voices of Southern soul, a pioneer whose influence helped shape the sound and space for generations of women in R&B. Born on December 21, 1942 in Memphis, Tennessee, she earned the titles Queen of Memphis Soul and Princess of Stax for her early and lasting contributions to Stax Records, one of the most important labels in soul music history. Her breakthrough came as a teenager with Gee Whiz. Look at His Eyes, a song that reached the top 10 on both the pop and R&B charts, an extraordinary achievement for a young black female artist in the early 1960s. She followed with a string of memorable recordings, and most notably, her celebrated duets with Otis Redding on the album King and Queen. Their chemistry created some of the most enduring collaborations in soul music, blending emotional storytelling with effortless vocal harmony. But Carla Thomas's legacy goes beyond hit records. At a time when the music industry often limited women's roles, she carved out space as both a performer and a creative force, helping open doors for future female soul artists. She balanced her career with education, studying at Howard University, while navigating the pressures of fame and artistic control during a rapidly changing cultural era. In recent decades, Thomas has chosen a quieter but deeply meaningful path. Still based in Memphis, she has focused on community work, youth programs, and educational initiatives, using her platform to give back to the city that shaped her. She occasionally appears at special events and tributes, reminding audiences of the timeless elegance and sincerity that defined her music. Carla Thomas's story redefines success. It's not only about charts or spotlight, but about legacy, integrity, and contribution. She proves that true greatness isn't just measured by fame, but by the lives you uplift and the doors you open for others. Swamp Dogg.
You did say yesterday that you were once a lover man.
At 83 to 84, Swamp Dogg, born Jerry Williams Jr. on July 12, 1942, remains one of the boldest, most unconventional voices in American music. Long before audiences embraced genre blending, he was already tearing down boundaries, reshaping soul into something fearless, political, and deeply personal. His transformation from a traditional songwriter into the eccentric persona Swamp Dogg marked a turning point not just for his career, but for the possibilities of black artistry itself. His landmark 1970 album, Total Destruction of Your Mind, wasn't just music, it was a statement. Fusing soul with psychedelic rock, funk, and sharp social commentary, it challenged industry expectations at a time when creative freedom for black artists was often restricted. While radio struggled to categorize him, his influence quietly spread among musicians who saw in him a blueprint for independence. Beyond his experimental work, he also wrote and produced country soul hits, proving his versatility and deep understanding of American roots music. Swamp Dogg's legacy lies in that refusal to conform. He didn't wait for permission to innovate, he simply did. In doing so, he opened doors for future generations to explore identity politics and sound without limits. His career, spanning more than 6 decades, reflects not just survival, but defiance against an industry that often rewards predictability. Even in 2026, he continues to create. His recent project, Swamp Dogg Contemplates the Afterlife, shows an artist still curious, still evolving, still unafraid to ask bigger questions through music. While many peers lean on nostalgia, he leans forward, experimenting with modern production while staying rooted in soul. Swamp Dogg's journey proves a powerful truth. Creativity does not age, it expands. His story reminds us that real innovation isn't about fitting in, but about daring to imagine what comes next, no matter how late in the journey it may seem. Otis Williams.
Talk to you about my wonderful late great friend.
At 84, Otis Williams stands as the final living founding member of the Temptations and one of the last direct links to the golden era of Motown. Born on October 30th, 1941, he didn't just witness the rise of modern R&B, he helped build its architecture from the ground up, shaping a legacy that still defines soul music today. As a founding force behind the Temptations, Williams played a crucial role in creating the group's signature harmony choreography and polished stage identity. Together, they delivered timeless classics like My Girl and Papa Was a Rolling Stone, songs that became cultural landmarks and continue to echo across generations. While he was not always the lead vocalist, his leadership and vision were essential in maintaining the group's structure and identity through decades of change. His career is also a story of endurance through loss. Over the years, Williams witnessed the passing of multiple original members, yet he remained committed to preserving their legacy. That loyalty transformed him into more than a performer. He became a historian and guardian of Motown's cultural memory. Through his memoir and the Broadway production Ain't Too Proud, he helped younger audiences understand the discipline, pressure, and brilliance behind the spotlight. Now, in 2026, Otis Williams continues to tour internationally with the Temptations, still performing the group's iconic choreography and maintaining the spirit of their original sound. Despite his age, his presence on stage represents continuity, an unbroken thread connecting past and present. Otis Williams's legacy is not defined only by fame, but by leadership and loyalty. He reminds us that greatness is not just about standing in front, it's about standing firm behind something bigger than yourself. In a genre built on harmony, he is the keeper of unity, ensuring that the Temptations' voice never fades. Gladys Knight.
You know, plus I didn't like.
At 81 to 82 years old, Gladys Knight continues to embody the very definition of timeless excellence in R&B. Born on May 28, 1944, she earned the title Empress of Soul through a voice that blends power, precision, and emotional depth, capable of turning every lyric into a lived experience. From her earliest days performing with Gladys Knight and the Pips, she helped define an era of soul music that remains influential decades later. Her career is anchored by classics like Midnight Train to Georgia, a song that not only reached the top of the charts, but became a cultural anthem of resilience and departure. Over the years, she has earned 7 Grammy Awards, along with countless honors, recognizing her contribution to American music. Her voice, rooted in gospel tradition, became one of the key bridges between church-inspired soul and modern R&B, influencing generations of vocalists who followed. What makes Gladys Knight's legacy remarkable is her ability to evolve without losing identity. She has performed across genres soul, gospel, pop, and contemporary R&B, while maintaining a signature vocal style instantly recognizable to audiences worldwide. Her artistry carries both technical mastery and spiritual intensity, a combination that has kept her relevant for over 6 decades. In 2026, Knight remains actively performing balancing solo tours with special collaborative projects such as the Queen's Tour alongside fellow legends. Despite her longevity, her stage presence remains commanding, and her performances continue to draw multi-generational audiences who respond to both her voice and her authenticity. Gladys Knight's story is not simply one of survival in music, it is a testament to sustained greatness. Her energy, discipline, and unwavering vocal strength prove that true artistry does not diminish with time. Instead, it deepens, resonates further, and continues to inspire long after trends have changed. Patti LaBelle.
Patty!
At 81 to 82 years old, Patti LaBelle remains one of the most electrifying performers in the history of R&B, an artist whose voice presence and endurance have redefined what it means to age in music. Born on May 24, 1944, she rose from gospel beginnings to become a global icon, known as the Godmother of Soul, a title earned through decades of fearless performance and emotional authenticity. Her career spans more than 6 decades and includes unforgettable hits like Lady Marmalade, the empowering anthem New Attitude, and a vocal range reportedly reaching up to 5 octaves. With LaBelle, she helped bring theatrical flair and bold femininity into mainstream R&B and funk, influencing generations of artists who followed. Beyond her group success, her solo career established her as a powerhouse vocalist, capable of turning any stage into a full emotional experience. LaBelle's impact extends far beyond music charts. She is widely recognized as a symbol of female empowerment, showmanship, and artistic fearlessness. Her performances are not just concerts, they are celebrations of resilience, passion, and self-expression. Over the years, she has earned numerous awards and honors that reflect both her vocal excellence and her cultural influence. In 2026, Patti LaBelle continues to perform with remarkable energy. Her 8,065 tour, marking 80 years of life and 65 years in music, celebrates one of the longest and most influential careers in R&B history. She also joins special collaborative tours with fellow legends, bringing multiple generations of fans together under one shared legacy of soul music. What defines Patti LaBelle most is not just longevity, but unstoppable passion. Even after decades on stage, her voice still carries fire, emotion, and power. She proves that true performance energy doesn't fade with age. It evolves, deepens, and continues to ignite audiences around the world. Ruby Andrews. At 79 years old, Ruby Andrews remains one of the most respected voices from the golden era of Chicago soul. An artist whose sound blends sweetness, emotional honesty, and quiet strength. Born on March 12, 1947, she emerged during a transformative period for R&B when regional soul scenes were shaping the national identity of Black music in America. Her breakthrough came in 1967 with Casanova. Your Playing Days Are Over, a gold-certified hit that became a defining anthem of female empowerment in soul music. The song's confident delivery and sharp emotional edge turned it into a classic, especially within the Northern Soul movement in the UK, where rare and overlooked American soul records gained passionate underground followings. Throughout her career, Ruby Andrews built a reputation not only as a vocalist, but as a storyteller, someone who could transform everyday emotional experiences into powerful musical statements. While she may not have always dominated mainstream charts, her influence grew steadily through dedicated fans, collectors, and DJs who kept her music alive across decades. Her work became a cornerstone of Northern soul culture, where authenticity mattered more than commercial success. Beyond her recordings, Andrews also contributed to the preservation and development of soul music by supporting younger artists and participating in community-based music initiatives. Her presence helped bridge generations, ensuring that the traditions of Chicago soul continued to inspire new voices. In the present day, she remains widely celebrated by music historians, vinyl collectors, and devoted fans who recognize her lasting impact. Even without constant mainstream visibility, her legacy has never faded. It has been sustained by community appreciation and cultural memory. Ruby Andrews' story proves that success in music is not only defined by fame or chart positions. It is also defined by endurance, influence, and the communities that keep a voice alive long after its first echo. Betty LaVette.
And the children's choir.
At 80 years old, Betty LaVette stands as one of the most remarkable comeback stories in American music. A voice that refused to be silenced, reshaped, or forgotten. Born on January 29, 1946, she entered the R&B scene as a teenager in the early 1960s. But her true recognition would come much later, proving that in music, timing is not always immediate, and sometimes it is delayed brilliance that leaves the deepest mark. often called the Queen of Comebacks. Levette spent decades navigating an industry that repeatedly overlooked her talent despite her extraordinary vocal depth and emotional intensity. While early success came with her 1962 hit My Man, He's a Lovin' Man, her career later faced long gaps between recognition and opportunity. Yet she never stopped performing, recording, or evolving, choosing persistence over retreat. Her artistic resurgence in the 2000s redefined her legacy. Albums like I've Got My Own Hell to Raise introduced her to new audiences and earned critical acclaim, including Grammy nominations well into her 60s. Critics praised her ability to reinterpret songs with raw emotional intelligence, turning every lyric into a lived experience rather than just a performance. What makes Bettye LaVette extraordinary is not only her longevity, but her honesty. Her voice carries the weight of survival, weathered, powerful, and deeply expressive. She doesn't sing around pain, she sings through it, transforming struggle into art that feels both personal and universal. In 2026, she continues to tour, actively delivering performances known for their intensity and emotional depth. Each stage appearance feels less like nostalgia and more like revelation, proof that her artistry has only grown stronger with time. Bettye LaVette's journey redefines success in R&B. She is living evidence that talent does not expire, it matures, sharpens, and ultimately shines brighter when it refuses to disappear. Thelma Houston.
And the thing that I learned most from my mother was to be...
At 79 to 80 years old, Thelma Houston remains a vibrant symbol of disco soul excellence and enduring artistic joy. Born in 1946, she rose during a transformative era in American music, when soul was expanding into new dance-driven sounds that would define a generation. Her voice, rich, powerful, and emotionally direct, quickly set her apart as one of the most compelling vocalists of her time. Her defining moment came with Don't Leave Me This Way, a song that reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1977 and earned her a Grammy Award for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. The track became more than a hit. It became an anthem of resilience, celebration, and emotional release, especially within communities seeking visibility and empowerment during times of social change. Throughout her career, Thelma Houston has embodied versatility. She moved effortlessly between soul ballads, disco anthems, and gospel-influenced performances, always maintaining the emotional authenticity that defines her artistry. Unlike many artists tied to a single era, she continuously adapted her sound while preserving her core identity as a storyteller through music. Her legacy is also deeply connected to themes of hope and inclusivity. Over the decades, her music has been embraced by diverse audiences, particularly within LGBTQ+ communities, where her songs became symbols of freedom and self-expression. This cultural connection continues to shape her relevance today. In 2026, Houston remains active on stage, performing at major festivals and pride events worldwide. She also revisits her classic hits through modern remixes and collaborations, bridging generations through sound and celebration. Her presence on stage still carries the same energy that first made her a star. Thelma Houston's story is a reminder that music is not bound by time. Her career proves that a powerful voice, when rooted in truth and emotion, can continue to inspire joy, unity, and strength across decades. Brenda Holloway. At 79 to 80 years old, Brenda Holloway remains a significant, yet often understated figure in the history of American R&B, an artist whose voice helped define the emotional depth of early Motown while also challenging the boundaries placed on black female performers in the 1960s. Born in 1946 in California, she became one of the first major West Coast artists signed to Motown Records, marking a geographic and stylistic expansion of the label's signature sound. Her breakthrough came with Every Little Bit Hurts, a haunting ballad that showcased her clear tone and emotional vulnerability, quickly establishing her as a rising star. At just 17, she was already performing at a professional level that drew comparisons to the era's most respected vocalists. In 1965, she reached a historic milestone when she toured with the Beatles during their U.S. tour, an experience that placed her at the center of global pop culture at a remarkably young age. Despite her early success, Holloway's journey was shaped by creative constraints common in the music industry at the time. She often sought greater artistic control over her material, a pursuit that was not always supported by record executives. In 1968, she made the bold decision to leave Motown, prioritizing artistic integrity over commercial security, an uncommon move that would later be recognized as ahead of its time. After stepping away from the mainstream spotlight, she continued to record selectively and perform at special events, while her early work gained renewed appreciation among soul collectors and Northern Soul audiences in the UK. Her influence quietly persisted, especially among artists who valued emotional honesty and vocal purity over commercial trends. In the present day, Brenda Holloway lives a more private life, but her music continues to circulate, inspire, and be rediscovered by new generations. Her legacy is defined not by constant visibility, but by conviction. Her story proves that choosing authenticity over fame can still create a lasting cultural impact, one that endures far beyond charts, trends, or time itself. Stevie Wonder. At 75 to 76 years old, Stevie Wonder remains one of the most extraordinary living figures in the history of music. A child prodigy who grew into a global symbol of innovation, resilience, and artistic genius. Born on May 13, 1950, he signed with Motown Records at just 11 years old, and by his early teens had already become a chart-topping performer, rewriting expectations of what young artists could achieve. Across his legendary career, Stevie Wonder has sold over 100 million records worldwide and earned 25 Grammy Awards, making him one of the most awarded solo artists in music history. His catalog includes timeless masterpieces such as Superstition Isn't She, Lovely Higher Ground, and Living for the City songs that blend soul, funk, pop, and deep social commentary into a sound uniquely his own. His groundbreaking use of synthesizers helped redefine modern R&B and popular music, influencing countless artists across generations. But his impact extends far beyond music. Stevie Wonder has long been a powerful voice for social justice and human rights. His activism played a key role in the campaign to establish Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a national holiday in the United States, proving that his influence reaches into cultural and political history as well. What makes his legacy so enduring is his constant evolution. Even in his later years, he continues to write, record, and perform, refusing to let time limit his creativity. His music remains rooted in optimism, spirituality, and a belief in human connection. In 2026, Stevie Wonder is still active as an artist and cultural icon, inspiring both fans and fellow musicians around the world. His presence on stage and in the studio serves as a reminder that true genius is not defined by age. It is defined by vision, persistence, and the courage to keep creating. Stevie Wonder's life proves one powerful truth. Talent may open the door, but spirit is what keeps the music alive forever. These 15 living legends, from the 86-year-old Mavis Staples to the ever-inspiring Stevie Wonder, are not just history. They are still here, still singing and still changing lives in 2026. Their voices carried generations through love, struggle, and triumph. Now tell us, which of these 15 legends deserves the biggest spotlight next, and why? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's celebrate them while they're still with us.